It looks like Malakai Black could be headed back to WWE. This according to a series of reports that not only indicate that Black is indeed done with All Elite Wrestling, but that creative plans might already be underway for him in WWE. We're going to go through everything we know, break down what's real, what's not, and what could happen in seemingly a pretty short amount of time. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to get into a major update on a former WWE World Champion who could be making their return to the ring imminently, according to one source. All that and much more coming up right here in this video. So be sure to leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right, let's talk about Malakai Black. The man's AEW run seemingly has been as cursed as his gimmick claims to be, and we are now learning that he could be wrapping up with AEW if he hasn't already. This according to a new report from FightfulSelect.com. So Fightful Select, Sean Ross Sapp Company says, quote, "Those that we spoke to in the company were of the belief that he was finishing up with AEW if he hadn't already. They did not clarify if he'd be appearing on TV again." Fightful Select reported that there were option years after 2024. Tony Khan had previously noted that he had Malakai Black under contract until 2027. So that's one aspect of this. We knew that Malakai, when he originally signed, like that deal was supposed to be a pretty significant deal. It was supposed to have him under contract for somewhere in the ballpark of 5 years. However, it looks like by hook or by crook, that does not seem to be the case. This is also building off of another report that we have heard courtesy of Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter this week, which said the following. There was talk from WWE that Malakai Black is expected there when his AEW contract expires. That's been the case for a while, but evidently there has been talk in WWE Creative about him of late. Nobody expects him back in AEW. So again, with these things, a lot of it is kind of wait and see. Malakai Black, of course, has always been out front and kind of responding to these reports saying that, like, no, these are just marks online who don't know what they're talking about. Who knows? Maybe we'll get another IG story or whatever of Malakai complaining about the dirt sheets and whatnot. But regardless, the wins are showing us that there is some smoke here, and where there's smoke, there's usually some sort of fire. And where there's fire, something is happening, is what I'm trying to say. So it looks like Malakai Black, at least, the idea is that he is at least done with AEW. This is coming off of like a couple of up and down years in AEW. We all remember he came in with a lot of fanfare. One of the biggest surprises in as far as a debut goes in wrestling history, to be honest, because no one thought that his contract was up. We knew that he had been released from WWE at the time, but usually that would come with a 90-day non-compete, or at least that's what everyone believed in their head. Yet he showed up just 30 days after his WWE deal had expired, and it was the case that he had never been, that 90-day clause had never been put in his contract, which was, I think, something that WWE, the second that happened, they were like, yeah, we're never doing that again. So regardless, a lot of fanfare when he came in. He goes in, he beats Cody Rhodes, a big-time feud originally in AEW, and then he basically didn't do anything for the next couple of years, and there was like fledgling feud with Pac. There was him being off TV for months at a time. Then in the fallout of All Out 2022, there was the report that he had agreed to a 6-month non-compete and a conditional release, and he then refuted that. He ended up coming back into AEW at some point. And then there was like a lot of up and down talk about his time, his future. We know that he's close to CM Punk, and Punk had alluded to the idea that, you know, he didn't want to say too much to get some of his friends in trouble. And Malakai Black, he noted as one of his friends in over there. So a lot of stuff. I think that the entire story of Malakai Black will probably be told at some point. in essence, though, I mean, it's really hard not to call his time in AEW as a failure. And I think it's a failure on multiple fronts. I think it's like a failure of the character. It's a failure of the start stop. It's a failure of booking largely too. I mean, I made a video about this on Wrestle Vibes where I really went in on the booking of Malakai Black. I think it's been one of the most fumbled characters and talents in AEW history, especially when you look at the fanfare and the hype that he came in with. Like, and the fact that he had that mystique about him just even years later, that he was still like believable as a threat, and then they did everything they could to bury him into the ground. It's just, it sucks the way things turned out. Now, of course, it looks like, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter report, that he is expected to be back in WWE. This should come as no surprise. Zelina Vega, of course, is his spouse, and she's in WWE. She's currently involved in the LWO. And Malakai Black, of course, as I noted earlier, friends with a lot of people over there. And Triple H was one of his biggest fans when he was in charge of him in NXT. And had Triple H been in charge of WWE, I can promise you this: when Malakai Black was released, his name would not have gotten to the list of releases. That is how much Triple H has reportedly really felt about this guy and has been a backer of Malakai Black like no other. And I think when he goes back to WWE, which I do believe will end up happening, I think it's a no-brainer that he ends up going back to WWE. I think it just makes all the sense in the world. When he does end up going back there, I think that it's going to be something very interesting to watch, because there's multiple ways you could take his character, but one thing I don't want to see is like a lot of what we saw with him in AEW, which is like he'll wrestle a match like maybe every 2 months, do a couple of vignettes, and, just not really evolve anything. And he's just like, as interesting as the original Malakai Black character was, it felt like he just never got off the ground in AEW, and I'm worried that with WWE and kind of the way they are right now, it is that dragged out, slow burn of all slow burn types of booking where nothing happens for weeks on end. Like, fundamentally nothing happens. And yet you're still reminded these people exist, and it's just not good stuff. And that was one of the big reasons why Malakai failed in AEW. I just hope we don't repeat that in WWE, but we will see. Of course, Malakai Black is not the only one who could be returning to WWE, as we got a new report this week about a former WWE Women's World Champion who could be making her return soon, and her name is Alexa Bliss. It looks like Alexa Bliss could be headed back to WWE imminently. This, according to a brand new report courtesy of WrestleVote, who said the following quote: "The highly anticipated return of Alexa Bliss is on the horizon, according to a well-placed source. Creative is reportedly working on her into future plans, with merchandise and promotional material already in development." Alexa Bliss has not been seen on WWE TV ever since the 2023 Women's Royal Rumble, where actually it was the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. She faced off against Bianca Belair for the title. Shortly afterwards, it was announced that she was pregnant, and then she went on maternity leave. She has not been seen on WWE TV since, but people have been asking, when are we going to get Alexa Bliss back? When is she going to come back? What is going on with the situation? Is she even going to come back? It looks like now we know. WrestleVote's pretty good source when it comes to WWE stuff, and they kind of know their stuff when it comes to reporting it, because more often than not, WrestleVote is correct about at least the substance of what they're saying. But it looks like Alexa Bliss is coming back, and with the WWE Women's Division being kind of at a low point under the Triple H era, in my view, I think that her coming back, the reports of Charlotte coming back, the reports of other women probably getting more prominently featured on WWE TV is a bright spot for them, and could be a bright spot for them in 2025. we're seeing what's going on in NXT right now. Shawn Michaels is absolutely killing it, booking the women over there, and the women over there are killing it in the ring and the execution. You have the idea of Roxanne Perez, who just lost the NXT championship. She could potentially be coming up. Cora Jade could be following her. And then you have the next crop of NXT women in Stephanie Vaquer and Julia, who could help carry that brand and even come up to the main roster at some point very quickly, given their experience on TV prior to joining WWE. What I'm trying to say is 2025 has all the potential to be the year of women's wrestling in WWE. Alexa Bliss could play a big role in that. One thing that I think everyone's mind immediately goes to as far as what she would be doing when she comes back in is probably doing something with the Wyatt Six. She has that character connection with Bray Wyatt when she was doing the spooky stuff over there. And as much as I appreciate what that would do, if I see that doll again on WWE TV, if I see that fucking doll again, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to probably gouge my own eyes out. That was some of the worst book stuff I've seen in WWE in a while. And I just do not want to go back there. It's just such a bad connotation. I'll give anything a chance, but Jesus, I don't know if I can with that. I would keep her away from the Wyatt Six. I know that that's like an easy thing to do. If they're able to do something where like she kind of just like doesn't remember being, under that trance or whatever and all that, and she's kind of like forced into an interesting storyline there where they're trying to get her back on their side, maybe that could be interesting, but I don't know. That wouldn't be for me. I want to see Alexa Bliss like do what she does. Like Alexa Bliss by herself in the ring is really good. On the mic is honestly like one of the best promos in the women's division there, and I think she has a lot of potential when she comes back to WWE, but we'll see. Obviously, a lot of big events coming up. You have Saturday night's main event, Royal Rumble. I would expect her to be back at the Rumble. I think the Rumble is probably a good time to have that big surprise return, and people are going to go ape shit when she does return. So, shout out to Alexa Bliss. She's going to be coming back. Guys, let me know in the comment section what you think about this. What do you want to see Alexa Bliss do upon her return? What do you want to see? Who do you want to see her face? Do you want to see her win the Royal Rumble? Let me know. Also, let me know what you guys think about the Malakai Black situation. What do you want to see him do upon his potential return to WWE? Until next time, be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'm Omer Q for Real Take Wrestling. Thank you for making it this far in the video. I appreciate every single one of you. Be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.